What's up guys, Rogue9 here, and today I want to give you a brief overview of the new and updated maps we are getting in Rainbow Six with Operation Grim Sky. Consulate has been ever so slightly buffed, and I will show off the changes you can expect there, while Hereford Base has been completely reworked, and my goal for that map will be to see if I can draw some parallels between the new and the old map, as well as providing an overview of how the new map will work. So off we go. Quick housekeeping note, if you have any great clips, especially with the new operators, and you would like the chance to be featured in one of my upcoming videos, slap those clips up on YouTube and send me a link to mail@rogue-9.com. And who knows, if I get plenty of clips, maybe I'll make one of those top 10 clips of the week style videos. And with that, over to this map buff, as Ubisoft likes to call it. The changes to the Consulate map are pretty subtle and focus on removing some of the frustrations that players may experience here, as well as adding a new bomb site to provide more options for the defenders. The first mini change to the layout of the map is along the outer wall of the compound on the southern side, which is the side with the front entrance and the balcony. Here, over towards the west, the outer map boundary has been pushed back a few meters, and there is now a new hole in the perimeter wall. In addition to this, a tall wall has been placed along the eastern side of the fountain area. This simple change has been put in place to make the police line spawn point more viable for attackers by lowering the risk of being spawn killed. Before this update, the police line spawn meant that you were most likely to work your way towards the target building through either the wall breach by the bus station or the front gate, and both routes would expose you to something like 9 different windows or doors from where the defenders could target you, making it relatively easy for 1 or 2 defenders to take out any attackers trying to approach the building from the front. The second structural change to the map is on the northwestern side in the garden area. Here, the wall that shielded the yellow stairs area from defenders jumping out of the west corridor has been moved further east, that is, towards the west corridor windows. This again offers the attackers some extra protection while they're still outside by making it harder for defenders to simply jump out of a prepped window and get an easy kill. And that's already it in terms of these structural changes to the Consulate map. When I was speaking to the Rainbow Six map designer Jeremy Dowsett at the Paris Majors, he specifically highlighted to me that one of the design cornerstones that is being implemented in newer maps is to avoid situations where spawn peeking is made easy by giving the attackers predictable approach paths that can be overlooked from a number of different defender positions. The goal is to offer a greater chance for balanced engagements within the buildings, and the 2 changes we see on Consulate were made specifically to bring the map up to this more recent standard. In addition to the minor layout changes on the map, we're also getting a new site for the bomb game mode, with 1 bomb located in the basement archives and 1 on the first floor in the tellers area next to the visa office. For these new bomb sites, I have to say that at this early stage, I'm a little bit skeptical. Whenever bomb sites are split vertically across different floors, this can lead to difficulties defending the site, because if the defense on the upper floor cracks, it can be near impossible for the defenders below to stage a retake. But maybe this site will be different? I guess time will tell, and once the Pro League starts again, we can take a look at how well-organized teams will deal with this site. From a theoretical perspective though, I would suggest that it would make sense to commit the majority of the team to defending Visa, maybe even with a player in the admin office above, and holding from there with only 1 or 2 players committed to the archives. My reasoning for this strategy is that with all the hatches around the visa office, it is much easier for the defending team to react to a heavy downstairs push by jumping down than it would be for defenders to make their way up if the attackers choose to push visa instead. And that's pretty much it for the changes to Consulate. Really simple changes to a map that was already pretty balanced and will now hopefully be even better. When it comes to Hereford Base, the changes are much more substantial, to a point where you can basically say that we've been given a new map in return for an old one. Well, that's certainly the feeling you get when playing the map, but if we take a bird's eye perspective, we can actually see that there are a lot of parallels and similarities. Let's start outside first by taking a closer look at the spawn locations, and over on the west side, as you can see, we basically have the same setup, an open area where you spawn, and then a small building with a stairway leading up on the right hand side that leads to a second story walkway that allows you to counter any spawn peeking. The only minor difference here is that in the new version of Hereford you also get some hard cover at the top. Moving on from here, we can see that the garage is still in the same place and looks to be kind of a similar size, but one of the fundamental new additions to Hereford Base is this kind of tacked on part of the building on the southern side. This basically allows for rotation around the back of the southern stairwell on all 3 stories, the first, second and third floor. Moving further to the eastern spawn point, we can see again the strong similarities between the 2 maps. Of course, in the new version of Hereford Base, we get these lovely 2, well, I can't call them lovely, we get these 2 Spitfires. The plaque tells us that this was a Spitfire that fought in the Battle of Britain, but of course a closer look reveals that the wing is the later E-type wing with one 50 caliber machine gun and one 20mm Hispano cannon in each wing, and of course almost all Spitfires flown during the Battle of Britain had the 303 caliber machine guns instead of this wing configuration. It's a tiny detail, it has nothing to do with the game, but I just can't help myself, I just had to mention it, sorry. Moving to the northern attacker spawn point, we see that there is still a firing range here, but it has been improved somewhat over the existing one, because in the old map, the only way to get up to this walkway was up the western staircase, which didn't really provide you with a lot of cover and made you an easy target for spawn killers. But with the new shooting range, you can basically just walk up at any point and then emerge behind cover at the top immediately, which at least gives you a fighting chance. Now going to the inside of the building on the 3rd floor, you can see that the blueprint of the original map is still kind of kept. The southern stairway and the central hallway are basically the same, but the 2 rooms on the right have been combined into one. The northern part of the new attic is quite different because this is where the building has been extended to make the floors larger, but once we circle back around to the southwestern side, we can again see that the ballistic map depot and the storage room have been combined into the tractor storage. And before finishing up on this floor, it is of course worth taking note of this extension on the south that allows for the rotation I mentioned earlier. And I lied, that wasn't actually the last thing to mention. The last thing to mention is this new western staircase, and apart from the change of the look and feel and some of the layout of the map, adding this second staircase is the biggest step forward in making this map far more competitive, far more playable. Now if we look at the 2nd floor, we can see that again around this staircase is where the map stays the most similar to the previous version. The rooms both to the left and right of the staircase look very similar to what we're used to, but once you move up to the northern part of the map, everything has changed. The master bedroom is where the bathroom used to be, the bathroom itself has been pushed all the way up to the northern part of the map, and the kids' room is now a large part in the center of this floor. Moving down to the 1st floor, we can see that the garages in the west are quite similar, although the new one is significantly larger and is missing the ladder down to the basement. Apart from that, a lot of the rooms on this floor are still very similar. The kitchen and then the dining room, north of that the piano room and then also the TV room are essentially the same. Again, of course, we still have this corridor to the south that has been tacked on, and once we get to the northernmost part of the building towards the shooting range, we can see that there's kind of this hay storage area, which actually extends down to the basement, and of course the eastern corridor that used to lead down to the basement, and there still is a corridor there. And then of course when we go further west, we can see that the entrance area has been significantly redesigned. You no longer get a doorway that allows attackers to just look straight down the corridor all the way to the stairs and cut off all rotations. We now have the doorway facing westwards and basically forcing a 90-degree angle that stops that control, or at least makes it a little harder. The basement is probably where the most redesign has taken place. The eastern basement access has been extended all the way to the south of the map, allowing access now from the north and the south. And here you can see this hay storage area, which again allows access from the north to the building. And although that window in the piano room can see into this area, attackers cannot rappel up. In addition to the tunnel on the east side providing access, we now also have a tunnel on the western side. And in terms of the interior layout, what basically used to be just 3 rooms, the one in the southwest, the armory, and then the meeting room on the east, plus the corridor going through the middle, has now become vastly more complex with far more angles in the corridor, and all of this allows for more competitive gameplay, I think, and that's at least the idea behind it. You can't really shoot into the basement from the outside anymore, which is what sort of most of the gunfights used to be about. Plus, you now have far more ways to enter into the basement itself, so it's become significantly harder for the defenders to just lock off the area. And that's pretty much it for my little comparison here. When I played the map for the first time and a few times afterwards, it just felt so alien and so different, but actually coming back and comparing the two maps from a top-down view side by side, I can actually appreciate much more the similarities between the old map and the new. And my hat goes off to the developers here, because actually, if you think about it, creating a completely new and balanced map from scratch is actually easier than taking an existing one, trying to retain the sort of look and feel of the map and the layout, keeping it kind of recognizable, but at the same time changing it fundamentally to make it much more competitive, much more balanced. Now that everyone's had a chance to play the map for themselves, I'd like to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this new map? Do you think it's an improvement? What particularly do you like about it? And are you as surprised as I was to see how similar the two maps actually are, even though they feel completely different? Leave your comments in the comments section below, and with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next episode.